Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today's Wednesday, December the 19th, 2007. This meeting is now in session. Would everybody please rise? Vicki, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us here today. We ask you to please bless each person in this room and their families, especially blessings, Father, for our board director, staff, and our board. Please guide them and help them make the best decisions for the benefit of our port and our community. We thank you for the year 2007 and ask you for guidance and support for 2008. We also pray for the safe return of our troops. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Ms. Saban, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag. Oh, Texas flag. Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Finally learning that. Okay. Do we have any speakers?
Yeah, item 2, public audience. We have no speakers requesting time.
Okay.
Item number 3, receive court director's report.
I will be very brief. A couple of things. One is I just wanted to touch on our 2008 appropriations. It looks like that Congress will be acting on an omnibus funding bill, and included in there is our request for the feasibility study funds for 2008, as well as for some maintenance O&M monies for the entrance or the jetty channel. It appears that we're going to hit those targets very closely. The feasibility study for 2008 is going to be $394,000, and then the O&M money for the maintenance dredge is $2.8 million. So that is good news. That should be final. And with that, I'll kind of segue into a meeting that we had yesterday. Donna, EMAR Deputy Port Director, and myself went to the Corps of Engineers to talk about the status of our feasibility study on the deepening and the widening. And then while we were there, we also talked about maintenance funds and where we stood on that. On the feasibility study, we will be receiving the feasibility, what do they call, the FSM, feasibility scoping meeting report sometime in mid-January, which will indicate positive ratios to go forward with the next step of the feasibility study, and that report will be prepared and delivered to the port in the middle of January. We will have approximately a couple of weeks to review it and comment, and then it will be returned to the Corps. Assuming there are no issues that need to be done, then they will prepare it and send it off to headquarters. They take 30 to 45 days, and then we would actually have a meeting in mid-April where we go over the project and then determine going on to the next phase. The next phase is where you begin to look at whatever alternatives are there and do a lot more technical work. I will tell you that this effort is not going to be one without commitment from the port. I think we signed a $6.8 million contract that will carry on over years, but our share of that is 50%. So that was good news. And then lastly, on the O&M for this year, the Corps is working on the contract. We're going to try to expedite it. One of the challenges with this is to try to coordinate this project with the South Padre Island project for beach renourishment. And there's going to be a real tight schedule. There's going to have to be a lot of coordination. If we can do that, we will try, but it's going to have to be done before March, again, because of the turtle migration and the concern with endangered species. But again, that is good news. It looks like we will be getting some money in the current federal fiscal year so we can proceed on these projects. And the director's reports, I think, were there for you. And with that, I conclude my report unless anyone has any questions.
Gentlemen. Very good.
Item number 4, consider an action on the following consent agenda items. A, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of December 5th, 2007. B, approval to authorize payments over $25,000. Item 1, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas monthly premium for employee dependent health insurance due January 2008 in the amount of $46,000. Item 2, City Capital monthly lease rental payment for the mobile harbor crane due January 2008 in the amount of $28,564.75. Item number 5, consider an act on rescheduling regular board meetings on January 2nd and the 16th, 2008. Did I skip ahead too far?
That's another item.
Yes.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, Ms. Seymour?
If I may,
Sure.
just on the item about rescheduling, what we're looking to do is do the 9th and the 23rd.
The 9th?
Yes, because I don't think the 2nd is going to work, so unless there's going to be a problem with that, that's kind of the schedule that we're working with.
Okay. Next item, please.
Do you want me to do 5 again? Because that wasn't
Yeah,
consent?
start.
That was not part of
Okay. Item number 5, consider an act on rescheduling regular board meetings on January 2nd and 16th to the 9th and 23rd.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number
6.
6, consider an act on accepting bids for uniform services.
Actually, this is it's a consent item, but it's just to authorization to go out for bids for uniform services. It's not, we don't have bids. It's just simply to go out and advertise for bids.
Okay.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Just to go out and do. Item number 6?
Item number 7.
7.
Consider an act on a resolution requesting an additional access point to Share 48 State Highway 48 at the intersection of the proposed new State Highway 48 connector and the proposed new Port of Brownsville entrance.
Okay. This is in response to Port's request for additional access on State Highway 48. I guess first is anybody from the tech side here? No? Okay.
No.
Okay, well, somebody going to be here. But what this resolution does, in effect, is approves the request to go ahead and do the new entrance to the port on the north side off of Highway 48, which would be the 511 alternative. Here they're calling it what is going to be called State Highway 550. This is the 511, the separate one that will come in. That one they will approve. What they're also saying essentially is that because of a minute order, any other connections to the state highway or accesses along Highway 48 are not approved. So we're going to be essentially this one here because it's part of that new State Highway 550 connection, but anything else will not be done. As my understanding, that was kind of part of the negotiations that went on with abandoning the old 48 and rerouting the new 48. And in doing so, there was a minute order passed by the commission that said, okay, we're going to close this section of 48 and there won't be any accesses. And we've got Chemical Road access, and then now we will have this 550 road access. So any other requests for any additional access, either east or west of that connection, are not going to be granted because the minute order prohibits any other accesses to that point. So for the purposes of the new connection, we need to approve the resolution so TxDOT can, when they're ready to proceed on that project, we would have that taking place.
And it's called the 550
They're referring
access,
to it. Yeah, they're referring to it as the proposed new State Highway 550 connection.
Right,
so.
but it is the 511,
Yes, it is.
the northern...
It is the alternate. I think
alternate route.
Mario Jorge refers to it as 511 alternate is what he talks
Right.
to it. Now, that's the one that while it's programmed in terms of, they have it in the plan, there is no money and there is no time right now to say, okay, we're actually going to start this project on so-and-so date. They have let the current 511 project, that contract has been let, and that activity is going to begin. But on the alternative route, we don't have a timeline on that as of yet.
And I understand there is some problems with, there's
Funding.
going to be funding problems,
Yeah.
issues with a lot of the
TxDOT projects, they're going to be coming up, so I think that they managed to get 2 other projects in place, but other projects, there's going to be problems with funding, so that might take a while to
come to fruition at least.
And this is for, and what we're talking about here is the 511 alternate, correct?
Yes.
I think we should maybe do I believe maybe we should work on a resolution to send to TxDOT based on the fact that we just had that major accident, unfortunately, for the family of Del Castillo. Maybe we should do a resolution showing the accidents that are happening with the trucks, and just to give them, this is something that needs to be funded to prevent any further accidents from happening. So maybe we should, we can work on something or do something.
Okay, well, we'll look into that. I don't know if there's any discussion at the MPO, but we'll follow up on that, see what can be done in that regard. If not, we can have a resolution at the next meeting, and if anything, forward it to them and try to coordinate or make other, like the MPO, aware of that request, and perhaps other entities do the same.
So moved.
Okay. When will the resolution be delivered? Mr. Gumpy, once we resolve this, when you will deliver this and mail it to them?
It just needs to be signed and returned to them. This is their format, their information, so they just forward and saying, okay, we need to approve this resolution and move forward on that request for the new access point on proposed Highway 550.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the table?
Yes.
Okay. Seconded by Commissioner Cristiano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 8, consider and act on accepting medical and dental coverages for FY 2008.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, as you are all aware, medical coverage for our employees is one of the most important benefits that we provide for them. This year, a consultant, Mr. Ken Wetty, was hired to help us find the best plan and try to expand our benefits to include dental and vision coverage. We received 4 medical bids, 11 dental, and 5 vision bids. The staff spent many hours in conjunction with Mr. Wetty to go over the proposals and provide the best package to our employees while keeping the cost at the same level as to the district. To this end, Mr. Wetty and staff are recommending that we choose Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas Plan D12 and medical coverage and Blue Cross Blue Shield Plan D201 dental coverage. This plan increases our deductible from $300 to $500, but increases the lifetime maximum from $1 million to $5 million. The copay remains the same at $15 for office visits and 10% for hospital services. An annual eye exam has also been included in this package. Lab and x-rays are covered at 100% after the $15 copay. With the savings that come with choosing this package, we can add a dental plan at no additional cost to the district or our employees. The dental plan is the standard in the industry and covers 100% of preventative and diagnostic procedures such as x-rays and fillings. The premiums for the medical will be reduced by $20.19 per employee to the district, and for those employees who have coverage for their families will pay $60.78 less per month. We can add the dental coverage to all our employees and still have a net savings. The Blue Cross Blue Shield plans are ready for your consideration and approval.
So basically, we will pay less for this plan and have more coverage for the employees, right?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. One is that our goal in this whole thing, and I do want to comment on hiring the consultant because I think it was very helpful. One is that not only on helping evaluate the plans, but also helping develop the proposals for the kind of plan we were looking for. There's 2 things about going this route. Our goal was to obviously get the best plan we have without increasing the cost to the district, or at the very least maintain the level of benefits without any cost increase. But the employees did want dental coverage. So then, one of the things we try to do with this is can we have a plan that provides the services that we need while at the same time saving us money or including dental and other benefits in the program. Now, while we are modifying some of the benefits, it does increase the benefits to the employees. Our plan is kind of like The current plan that we have is really a BISD customized plan. It's not a traditional plan. So this moves us more into the traditional health care kind of coverage plan. It has a far greater emphasis on preventative health care. So in here you do have the eye examination free, the annual physicals, if the services of lab work and blood work and all of that are provided at the physician's office, all of that is covered 100%. It does provide for expanded benefits, but at the same time it also increases the deductible to the employee. So on the one hand, you might see an out-of-pocket increase in cost if you're used to only going to the doctor when you get sick. On the other hand, you can take advantage of the benefits in the program as it relate to going to the doctor before you get sick and being able to have a lot more coverages available to you in that sense. So, we're going to try to move more into, keeping employees from having to go to the doctor where they're deathly ill, as opposed to taking advantage of the programs that we do have now available to us more along the preventative package. And the great thing about it is that we were able to provide a program that does say, okay, we can provide dental insurance for the employees. It's not going to increase the cost of the district, and the plan, even if it were for those employees who want to put their family on the dental plan, it isn't going to be a whole lot of money. So I would describe it more as modifying our benefits. We're not reducing them. In some cases we're expanding them, but we are providing more coverage and we are providing dental, which is something we did not have.
Mr. Campirano, are our employees happy with the customer service they're receiving from Blue Cross?
I did a survey to all the employees, and I received 45 responses, and 39 said yes, they were satisfied, and 5 said they were not.
It's a good number, 39 to 5.
And when I spoke to the Blue Cross representative, she said, well, find me those 5 and we'll find out what we did wrong and see if we can improve it.
So moves. Good. Good. Second.
And just one final thing. I know, Mr. Campirano, you had mentioned to me with Debbie Duke that in case there's an illness such as cancer or something, the amount of monies that will be available for the employee is far more greater than what used to be there?
Well, one of the things that we got is what it is. It's really, if you have an employee who may be experiencing a catastrophic illness where they have, is the lifetime maximum is expanded under this plan from the current $1 million to $5 million. So essentially, if you had an employee who may already, and currently is incurring, a lot of money towards that lifetime maximum, well, that employee will essentially see some relief. I mean, we don't want to see any employee have to get to that, but yes, this does increase the lifetime maximum from $1 million to $5 million. And, with catastrophic illnesses or, at the present date, you'd hate to think you need that, but who knows? So that is an enhancement to the current plan.
Let me just ask you this also, Mr. Campirano. I know that there was, I believe there was another plan being offered by Valley Baptist Health Plan. Is that correct? And as I understand it, in speaking with you and in looking at the backup, I guess one of the features of that plan is that the employee would then be limited to only going to Valley Baptist Hospital as opposed to having a choice. Is that correct?
Well, one of the things, that is one of them, and that's certainly a major one. That's not the only one, but yes, that plan is not accepted at Valley Regional, and so consequently, and in some cases, it's not the employee choice, but it is the physician who may have privileges there that will see the employee there. Now, I know that in the survey to the employees, that was a big question, and the response we got was that was not something the employees wanted to see in terms of not having that option of being able to go to that hospital if they so chose, or if their physician sent them there.
I think the survey said that the split was 50-50 as far as preference between hospitals, and I guess therefore what we can draw from that is that if we were to have gone the Valley Baptist route, that would have made the choice for them.
One is that
some choice away from them.
Well, that's correct. The other thing too is that when you look at just the side-by-side plan benefits, I mean, the plan that we're getting now still has better benefits than the ones that being
But it's at a
offered.
higher cost, though.
It is at somewhat higher cost, but still it does. If we were looking strictly from a cost-saving standpoint,
Right.
then the Valley Baptist plan. We actually, of the 4 responses, the 3 that were evaluated by the consultant that recommend that we go further when we started the evaluation process were the 2 Blue Cross Blue Shield and the Valley Baptist. So we did have an opportunity to review it and vet that and ask the questions of Valley Baptist to see if there was a way of having something worked out in that. There wasn't. So that did make the decision earlier, but we also looked beyond just that and looked at the benefit levels as well. And we think what we're getting for this proposal in terms of the modifications as well as the enhancements is going to serve us well. And it does move us, again, more to traditional. So that year when we do have a bad experience factor, we have to go out into the market, then we'll be more in the traditional lineup and what you expect to get than to trying to go out and change it at that time.
If we had gone the Valley Baptist route, would that have probably necessitated some employees changing positions simply because they were not under the plan? They would not have been paid under the plan?
That's correct, and
Nobody likes to change positions when they don't
nobody
have
likes
to.
to change positions.
Yeah.
And although they could have used that position, instead of having the 10% copay, they'd have a 30% copay.
Oh,
It increases 20%.
Big difference.
that is a big difference.
Big
The Valley Baptist plan has a 30% copay?
If you're out of network,
If you're out of
which Valley
network.
Regional
I gotcha.
would have been.
That does make a difference.
Yes, it does.
And as far as the employees that are here, and I've asked this question before, have any of you had any experiences yourself or known of folks that have had experiences where if you need emergency care at an emergency room under your Blue Cross care, are you made to wait in the waiting room while coverage is verified, or are you brought right back because there's no issue there? Anybody have any experience? Joe?
I had no problem in San Antonio with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
In an emergency situation? Joe?
And neither have I.
Okay. Anybody else?
We had to use it here and within 15, 20 minutes.
And I guess, George, that would be an issue for the Valley Baptist plan, is that if you're outside of the...
Valley. Yeah.
I gotcha.
That's good.
I do want to say, though, that Valley Baptist is investing millions of dollars in this community. That includes the Brownsville Navigation District, and putting a lot of people to work. Contractors, suppliers, bringing physicians in from out of town, increasing the local economy, and I'm happy to see that they have made a bid. It seems like this is a better product at a better price.
Yes.
So we have to go with that. So thank you, Mr. Campion.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion for item number 8 from Commissioner De Los Santos, seconded by Commissioner Masso. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9.
Item number 9, consider an act to approve amendment BA 2008-1-001 to the operating budget fiscal 2008.
We normally put our budget in place and we run to the end of the year and then we evaluate it each year, which happens from on board. And that's to sit down with someone go through the budget and see how we were doing. We started this project back in August and about 6 months into it. By the time we finally got into finishing the evaluation, I have 8 months of data to look at. And we actually got to sit down and see how we were running this budget. And we made some adjustments to some of our revenues and some of our expenses to make it end up more in line with what we're doing. Another thing that an issue that we addressed was in our capital budget. We had a lot of things that we were capital budget items, and we put those things back into our operating budget. That impacted us quite a bit into our operating budget. However, it's going to make us come out right at the end, right with our audit. And the packet that I gave you, the very first page, kind of gives you a summary at the very top of what we're doing. We're decreasing our revenue by $84,950. That's primarily impacted in lease revenue. We are a little late getting our new lease study in place and then anticipated forging through with some new rates. We're increasing some expenses that has to do with some legal fees that we have, some consulting fees, master plan expenses, some legal fees that have to do with the bridge project being moved back into the operating form of the budget. And we're decreasing payroll-related expenses. As we start out the year, we fully budget every position in the organization. So I think we're going to hire them in my department. We pulled out 3 staff level positions that have not been hired this year. We pulled out several other hourly positions that are hired from the year. So we've adjusted this to be actually what we're going to put on payroll. It's about a $500,000 reduction in our budget. So it's a total decrease in revenues in our budget of $368,000. And the details of all of these things are behind the first cover sheet. The other thing that we looked at was staffing alignments. There are company staffing changes that we would like to recommend at this time. One of our employees from the Facilities Maintenance Department has been assigned on loan to the Engineering Department down to the surveys. It's very difficult for surveyors to go out and do the surveys efficiently. I myself would like to make that move by adding a general labor position into the Engineering Department, and we already have an employee for that position. We also have quite a few temporaries working with the Facilities Maintenance Department, and we would like to consider making 2 of those temporaries permanent. So this would be a total addition to the organization of 3 positions in the general labor. So we'll be asking for you, as a part of this whole thing, to approve that.
Can you explain the $350,000 increase in the legal and auditing fees for the bridge project?
Those are the anticipated expenses for David Oliveira. Who has not billed it.
There are a couple of things. Let me begin by kind of prefacing a few things. One is that there's a lot of, I guess I want to say that there's a lot of expenses, or there's some encumberments that we have done that have not been reflected in the budget. And then we've committed to do them, but we basically take the money out of our checking account or our fund balance when we need them. And I don't think that's one of the things that I've been working with Debbie is that I don't believe that that's the way we should do them.
I understand that.
And so what we're going to do as we move into the new budget is you're going to see a lot more. But yes, we had set aside some revenue or some expense for the litigation associated with the bridge project. So rather than...
I'm sorry, what litigation is that?
The Dannenbaum litigation. And so there was money.
What is there pending in the Dannenbaum litigation besides my lawsuit?
All I'm saying is that we had set aside.
They haven't been paid.
We had set aside in the budget approximately $400,000 for any litigation expense associated. We have not been billed for any, but rather than keeping it out there, I felt it was important that you need to pull it into your operating budget, because whenever you do make that payment, it's going to be reflected as an operating expense. So what we did was, and the other thing about this budget, the way we do our budgeting, is that we have a lot of what I consider are to be O&M expenses in capital projects. And so what happens is your budget looks good, but when Debbie begins to prepare the books for the auditors, all those expenses get moved into O&M anyway. So they need to be reflected properly. That's one of those expenses that was sitting out there as an expense that we had in our, quote, list of all these other projects that we do, and so we moved that back into...
But what I'm saying, though, Mr. Campirano, is that I know of no contract where the Brownsville Navigation District is required to pay any lawyer hired after March of 2006 on an hourly basis. The lawyers that we retained, that this board retained unanimously in March of 2006, were on a contingency fee basis. Now, if I'm mistaken about that, please explain that to me. So I would strongly object to paying any lawyer, I don't care who they are, on an hourly basis when we didn't win that case.
Well, one thing is that this is not paying anybody.
Well,
All
I
it's
thought that's
saying-
what you said.
No. What we're saying is, we had set aside money for litigation expenses. Now, those invoices, when they do come and so forth, you all are going to have to determine whether you're going to approve them.
Oh, I see.
All we're doing, this is budgeting.
I see.
We had set the money aside. All we're doing is moving it into the budget as an O&M expense. This is not approving any invoices for payment.
Okay.
All it's doing is reflecting the fact that should you get those invoices and should you choose to pay them, that expense is going to be an O&M expense, and we should reflect it in our budget as having budgeted for that expense.
Well, but aren't we, in approving of the budget modification on that line item, thereby also
No.
leaving open the possibility that we would approve that budget item?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it's...
Can we separate that item out from everything else?
Well, it will be in the budget, in just making these summary changes. There's a lot of other things in here.
All right.
I mean, it's not just that expense.
No, I'm
but
talking
we
about
have,
just that line item,
well,
105750.
in the budget, it will be reflected. This is just a summary of showing, and I think what you're going to see in the future going forward, whether it's a project like that or any other project, you're going to see a line item in the budget for it, and it's going to reflect an amount. Now, whether you expend that is a different deal, but you will have. So if this board decided, we're going to do, engage a professional service to do X, Y, and Z, well, that when you take that action or you direct staff to it, then you need to set up a line item budget for it, and not just say, well, whenever we start getting invoices, then we'll go into the fund balance or our checking account and start paying for them out of there. And so we're going to change the way the budget looks in the future, but some of that is now. And I think part of the capital expenses that appear, or part of the expenses that should be O&M that appear in capital, they may reflect good up front in your budget, but the bottom line, it all comes out of the same pot in the end. And so all we're doing is moving some of those expenses that we have had and said, look, you budgeted, you set aside, we're going to move them back into O&M so they're there and you can see them. So when that does occur, you've got a line item reflecting where you're going to go pay for that.
Well, I understand, and what I would do is I will make a motion that we approve these budget changes with the exception of 10-5750, which can then be the subject of a separate motion, because I don't want to be seen as agreeing to a budget change for a specific purpose and then vote against that specific purpose at a later vote.
Again,
because we have no contract with any lawyer except on a contingency fee basis. The last time I checked, the Port of Brownsville got zero out of that deal. And when the client gets zero, the lawyer gets zero.
Again, there was a line item, there was budget set aside for that. We're just putting it there. This is not paying any invoices or committing to pay any invoices. Should any invoices come and should you choose to deal with them, you've got a line item allocation that if they get paid, you know where it's coming from.
By approving to do this, basically what we're doing is we're becoming more transparent so that we can just come here, look at it, and see where that money is being budgeted to.
Well, all we're saying is that, we seem to budget what are the traditional expenses, and then we have all these other things, whether it's the master plan, whether it's, any legal fees, whether it's consulting fees, whether it's other things, and yes, we have money for it, but that money all comes out of whatever money you have in the bank. And all I'm saying is that when you make the decision to either accept that service or to do it, you should budget for it.
And I agree with that.
And so that's what we'll do. So yes, so in the future, you'll see a lot of this. It may not look as good as when you see it, you get somebody that says, God, we have $14 million in the bank, but wait. Out of that, you've got...
It's designated and earmarked.
You better take money out for the deepening and dredging feasibility study.
Right.
You better take money out for the local share on this project, for this, and that. So by the time you do all of that, guess what? It isn't $14 million in the bank.
That's right.
The other thing we're doing, I think we want to do with this fund balance, and I'll let Debbie talk to it, is we had talked about beginning to set up an operating reserve fund. So,
I'm all for that.
We have identified those things that are going to be going on, even though all the business goes away. If we have a disaster or our lessees stop paying us, there are certain expenses that we're going to have: payroll, insurance, utilities, debt service. And we've identified those, and we're looking at, on the high side, about $750,000 a month. what we would like to do is start banking toward a goal of possibly a year or a year and a half in the bank, in a locked-away reserve for something that might happen, catastrophe. And we're very fortunate to be in a position to be able to do that at this time. So we're going to set up some goals in our budgeting to say, here's what we have, and here's what we're going to lock away this year. And
That's fantastic.
None of that is in this budget at this point.
none of that is in this budget. It would not actually be an expense. It would be just a balance sheet adjustment.
But it would be like, we would set it up, not necessarily like a restricted fund, but it's only restricted by action of this, us, not that we have, it's not a bond or an obligation, just it says, okay, that, you know, we're going to work to try to build up an operating reserve fund. So it isn't like, don't worry, we have money in the bank. I mean, aside from that, we'll still have other fund balances available, but we know we can build this up over time. And I think that will also help us with our capital planning going forward.
Okay. Well, we have a motion on the table by Commissioner Zavaleta to adopt excluding 105750.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
And you should also address the three conditions that we would like to make.
Okay. Do we have a second? Second. Okay, motion fails for lack of second.
So move the way it's written, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion on the table accepted as presented by the administration. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 10, consider an act to approve a change order to contract 3594 with Black & Veatch for phase
When we were beginning to prepare the second invoice that we received from Black & Veatch for payment, we noticed that the billing of several of the tasks exceeded the budget, and some of the tasks were under budget. So I contacted Mr. Luke with Black & Veatch, and we've worked out just a reassignment of some of the budget amounts so that this invoice can be paid. It resulted in $433.41 reduction in phase one, and it actually reduced the payment for phase one. And we're asking for you to approve as a reallocation and actually a reduction to phase one of the contract.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion on the table for item number 10 by Commissioner De Los Santos, seconded by Commissioner Cristiano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11.
Approval to authorize payments over $25,000. Item A, Black & Veatch Special Projects Corp. Invoice number 2 in the amount of $137,885.41.
And I indicated this is going to complete the billing of the phase one.
So moved.
Okay.
Just before I second it, they're completely done.
They're part of
phase
it.
one.
They're part of it.
I'll give it a second.
Okay, we have a motion on the table by Commissioner De Los Santos, seconded by Commissioner Cristiano. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 12, adjourning to executive session.
Okay.
Yeah, actually,
6:10, adjourning to executive session.